Hey folks, it's it's Sunday. Well, it is at the time of our live feed anyway. Hope everyone is doing well. Yeah, we're going down the rabbit hole today. Feel free to join us if you like. Let's bring in Discord. Hello, Discord.
Good morning.
Hello, hello.
Looks like we got Clint and Cindy and Sabs. I think Paul's not feeling well, and we haven't seen Lester this morning, but that's okay. All right. Well, okay. If In the description of the video, you'll find a never expiring link to Discord if you want to actually talk and be heard, and may possibly even start your video and be seen. Ha ha. Well, if you've read the description, which most people don't, and that's okay. We're going down the rabbit hole today, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be talking about, are the gods and goddesses extraterrestrial?
I'm taking a bite of the cake.
Alright. Get your...
Paul's up too.
Alright. So, we're gonna get our Kool-Aid, we're gonna get our cake, we're gonna get our spiked coffee, and we're gonna go down this rabbit hole today. But
make sure before you drink the Kool-Aid, you grab the key off the table.
Nope. Back in the day when I drank the Kool-Aid, I kept the keys hidden. Because my stupid self would get drunk and find myself across the state and not remember how I got there.
I'm talking about the door key.
Yeah, well, there is that. Oh, by the way, at the time of this video, it is March 21st. Blessed Star, ladies and gentlemen. And
I thought that was yesterday.
Well, just started to say, depending where you are on the equator, will depend on whether or not your Ostara was yesterday or today.
Well, isn't Ostara the first day of spring?
Not for everybody.
Oh, okay. Well, blessed Ostara, everybody.
Like, for example, in Australia, it's winter.
Yeah, so they're celebrating Yule.
No, they still celebrate Yule on December 21st. The pagans in Australia still celebrate Yule, December 21st, and they celebrate Christmas, December 25th. But it's just summer for them.
Yeah, it's seasonal.
Yeah, geography is a very interesting, confusing field, one of which I never decided to get into. But anyway, to those who celebrate, blessed Star. All right. Cindy.
Yeah.
You have been tasked, if you so seem fit, read off where they can hear you the definition of extraterrestrial.
Yeah, extraterrestrial is referred to an object appearing of the planet extra of the planet Earth. Not.
Okay, we can't hardly hear you.
Extraterrestrial refers to any object or being not of the planet Earth.
Right, and that's exactly what I was looking for. So, let's not assume, for those folks out there that like to get a little tweaked, we're not talking about the gods and goddesses or little green men from Mars. We're not talking about extraterrestrials or large tentacle beings from another planet. However, what did he say?
What?
I said Quetzalcoatl was a flying lizard.
Well, and see, that's just where I'm fixing to go.
So you can't leave out the tentacle monster.
Can't hear you, Paul.
Can't. Get down to bed.
But I'm a nice pain in the ass, Paul.
No, I got it. I said, what was I saying? See what you did? See? Well, Quetzalcoatl, like I said, was a flying bird lizard.
Right? And if you go to Egypt,
They're all animal-headed things.
well, there's Ra. There are hieroglyphs in Egypt. There are hieroglyphs in China and Japan. There are hieroglyphs in the Aztec pyramids.
There are drawings in Central, not when I say Central America, I'm talking about the Midwest, done by the Hopi Indians of Anunnaki,
Yeah.
the flying ant people who come. Now those are terrestrial because they came from under the ground.
They came from the underworld, right. And there are multiple stories and tales of the ancestors, speaking of Central America, that all sorts of beings came from the underworld. And there are also stories handed down by the tales of the Native Americans that there were beings of the Great Spirit that came out of the sun god, or father son, excuse me. Well, let's think about this for a minute, and those of you watching our live stream and those of you that'll be watching the pre-recorded broadcast, there are very interesting hieroglyphs in Egypt that show things like airplanes, helicopters.
Well, artifacts.
They've found artifacts of a plane.
Right. That actually fly.
Right. They've tested them in wind tunnels. Now, understand, folks, I'm not typically one to go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theorists, okay? We decided to go down this rabbit hole because I think it needs to be talked about.
Now, I know you're hitting on Egypt, okay? But you need to go further back.
Mesopotamia.
No, sir. Well, yes, India.
Mesopotamia is older than India.
Well, that's true. India has the largest, most well-recorded history of any of them. They have 333 million gods.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, all their history says their gods came from the sky.
Yes. Chariots of fire. What were some of the other ones?
Oh God, what are those things? Stupas.
Yes.
Pyramid-shaped flying craft. Now, yes, most of my knowledge of this comes from one particular show, but I have researched it, and obviously that's where they got their stuff, was off the research I did, or where I got my research answers from.
Well,
So,
I mean, I'm with you. I've always found this one particular show, which I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube for
right.
voicing out another program, and of course we're not monetized anyway, so what the hell difference? But anyway, Um, I watch it not necessarily just for entertainment, but for ideas.
Oh yeah,
We all know,
it does make you stop and think.
right? We all know that all myths, right? Folklore, um, stories handed down, they're rooted in some form of truth. Now, what that form of truth is, well, I don't know. I didn't live back then, you know.
Well,
I mean, hell, here we are in 2021, and we're all just trying to stay alive.
right, and then Cindy hit on a big point. You know, uh, perception.
Yes.
What they saw then, they had no way of explaining other than the way they explained it, because you know, if we saw something like that today, we're not going to think they're gods.
I don't know. Some people might.
Well, that depends on how much they smoke. You know, or how much they dropped.
um, I like quoting the bumper sticker I saw once. If Jesus did come to Earth, he'd be tried and convicted as a witch.
Yeah.
But, I personally
He
think.
was.
Huh?
Think about it. Think about it. In a sense, he was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a big political move.
Because heresy, because witches were accused of heresy, and that's what he was accused of, heresy.
Yep.
Back then, they didn't drown them or burn them; they crucified them.
Yeah, that was a Roman thing. But even still, if you think about it, other than other than the Grecian pagans and the early pagan Romans, okay, most pagan societies associate their gods and goddesses with beings that either have or do exist on the earth plane. The Green Man, Hearn, Morgana, Morgaine, and we all know that Merlin wasn't a person. Merlin was a title. But even the Merlins that lived within a couple of 100-year period,
Merlin wasn't a god.
Merlin wasn't a god. He was a wizard. But there were several Merlins because it became a title. I think there was one person that they started out calling Merlin. And this is just me. I haven't been able to really find any concrete writing on it. Nobody has. But
Yeah.
But you think about it, most pagan philosophies, our gods and goddesses, most of them have names. Most of them, at one point or another, had a presence on the Earth Mother.
Okay, here's a good question. Norse.
Thor. Okay.
Well, any of the Norse gods, okay, they're in between because they, let me see how I can explain this. The Earth is part of their realm, but yet they're not actually of it.
Right. Well,
So, would they be considered extraterrestrial or multi-dimensional?
see, therein lies a good part of the conversation for today. I think the interdimensional beings, those that. But when you speak of interdimensional, or from another dimension, are we talking about the other dimensions that run alongside of the dimension that we live in, but they're slightly out of sync, so that
No, not for the Norse gods.
no, well, Thor was the god of thunder, and he was the son of Zeus, right? If my memory serves.
Odin,
Odin, that's it. God,
the All-Father.
that's right.
Watch
Now,
American Gods.
Odin, of course, well, I want to be very careful to base this conversation off of TV shows, because we're always and forever putting down TV taught pagans. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I was just making that reference due to the fact that he's the main character.
Right.
But no, it was Odin is the Allfather of the Norse.
You're right. Yeah. And if anybody watched my public service announcement from yesterday, I do apologize. My brain is scrambled eggs these days. So if I say something off color or out of whack, somebody smack me back in line there. So would we be safe in saying, on a pretty much blanket statement, that most of the gods and goddesses developed through the years by human beings would be extraterrestrial?
Well, of course.
And, it's like Deb says, anything not of this world is extraterrestrial, interdimensional, therefore is extra. Extra out of this world, man.
Far out, man.
And it's but the thing that has always fascinated the hell out of me is the hieroglyphs all over the world, from all societies and all of the tribes back in the day prior to Viking shipbuilding and Spaniard shipbuilding and all of that.
Are similar.
Yes. But if you think about it, all of the ancient societies had hieroglyphs that explained things that would be 4, 5, 6,000 years ahead of them.
If not more.
Right. I mean,
there are drawings in Africa of men in spacesuits, like
yes.
what we use.
Yes. Not just Africa; those are also in
Oh, it's the drawings on the side of the mountain. What are
Mexico.
yeah, the El Astronaute.
Yeah. Um, so, I mean, it's not a far stretch to make one stop and ponder on I don't believe that the ancients that chiseled out those hieroglyphs, I don't feel like it was a coincidence. But then I typically don't believe in coincidence anyway. Anybody want to reply on
What
that?
the fact? You mean the coincidence with the fact that they all are similar in a sense?
Right, yeah, I've heard it called coincidence, which I have to kind of call bullshit on that.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's not trying to get off topic, but it is relevant to it. There are similarities in a lot of the technology of the day across the world, building technologies, uh, the way they built some of their structures around the world. Uh, Primarily, they found uh, how they keep the building material from separating was there are 8 or 10 different area or locations where they use small or not small but metal clips within the stone to keep them together. They don't all look the same, but they are all of the same technology. Now, if you're living in Mexico and then there's another group of people living in Africa back then, how on earth are you going to swap technology ideas if you can't sail the ocean?
That's absolutely my point. You know, they
Oh,
come on, 5,000 years ago,
yeah.
if some idiot thinks there were cell phones or the internet, no.
You were watching too much Fred Flintstone.
Can't hear you, Cindy.
Oh,
Debbie wrote, "It's the building of stone circles. It was just started by whom and why. It seems to me that humanity bumbled along and then suddenly leaped forward in terms of technology."
they pointed that.
Yeah, and she said a lot of building technology were drowned at the end of the ice age as oceans rose. Explain example, the continental shelf off India, the Caribbean, and Japan.
Right, and well, okay, um, I watch a boatload of documentaries on the Scottish Isles, okay? Um, there's a British program called the Time Team.
Yep.
Absolutely love these guys. Um,
What channel?
British BBC.
my channel is YouTube.
Oh,
I
okay.
watch them on YouTube. They're called the Time Team. But anyway, one of the one of the other British history programs that I watch, I can't remember the name of it, but they go further and further back. There was one done where they were investigating the uh, what they consider the burial mounds. And folks, I don't believe these are burial mounds, because the burial mounds face the summer solstice. the sun of the summer solstice. Um,
Talking about the ones that resonate sound.
well, they either face the summer solstice or the winter solstice, um, you know, but the opening always faces to the rising or the setting sun of the solstice. Now, these things are tens of thousands of years old. They found one. I can't remember if it was on one of the islands in Scotland or Ireland. Damn it, I can't remember. But anyway, it was a supposed burial mound that they found by accident, where it had been built thousands of years prior to the invasion of the Vikings of the lands of Ireland and Scotland. Now, hear me through this. The invasions of the Vikings of Scotland and Ireland were a couple of thousand years ago. The villagers of those areas found the openings to these, quote, burial mounds that had already been there for thousands of years. And you're talking about stones that weigh 10, 15, 20 tons. I don't want to go back in time to change anything. I want to go back in time as a voyeur to find out how they move these damn things. I mean, yeah, we can science it all day long. We can hypothesize and theorize and all of this. Debbie says, yeah, it was Irish. Yep. Or is that ish? I don't know. Anyway.
So in general right now, we're saying that.
Can't hear you, Cindy.
So in general, some people might be popping in watching. We're saying the gods possibly could be terrestrial. Some of them.
Well, and see, here's what I was saying a while ago. In most pagan philosophies, the gods and goddesses are of this plane, of the earth plane. Hern,
Frigga.
Freya, Morgane, Morgana, on and on and on. But
Yeah, thousands and thousands and thousands.
Lilith.
Debbie also makes a good point. We've had the discussion before of the singularity. And she makes a good point on that, in that, you can share through a collective consciousness or the astral. Well, how do we know that so much of the spiritual leaders of the time, or the kings, or whatever you want to call them, how do we know that they weren't using the singularity or the collective conscious or the astral to, you hear societies all the time talking of, I had a dream. Spirit showed me in a dream to do this, this, and that, and the other thing.
That's
So-
kind of how I got into my patron deity being Apollo. He came to me in a dream and told me that I was going to be one of his priestesses one of these days.
Can't hear you.
I heard her.
Oh, wow.
Sorry. Say it again, Sabs. A little taller, higher, whatever.
I said that's how I got to be where I'm at now, because Apollo came to me in a dream.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just trying to wake up, so my throat's kind of sore.
Oh no, you're fine.
Um, yeah, he came to me in the dream in the middle of the night, and I woke up with a severe sunburn. So, I mean, they do come to you in dreams. They tell you the things that you need to hear, and then they just disappear.
Well, let me ask you a question. Speaking of Apollo, if in your mind would Apollo be a terrestrial or extraterrestrial being? And I'm working on your input volume to get you a little louder, so go ahead.
I would say he's more of an extra because, like, if you can walk in and out of people's dreams, then, you have to have some sort of, I guess, extra power. I don't really know. Like I said, I'm just waking up.
Right, right. You guys that are listening, I just boosted the input sound of everybody in Discord. Hopefully, you can hear them a little better. And I apologize if it blows some of you out that had your volume turned all the way up. um, so, if someone wanted to voice their primary deity and discuss whether their deity would be interterrestrial, meaning of the earth, or extraterrestrial, meaning of the skies. Anybody?
Okay, for instance, Gaia.
Can't hear you.
Keep it over there.
One, Gaia.
Gaia is Mother Earth to the Druids, if I remember correctly.
So she would be.
She would be a interterrestrial. She would be
Yep.
of the Earth plane.
Right.
She is the earth.
Right.
And
Right.
then there's Ganesh.
Who?
Ganesh.
You don't know who Ganesh is?
Come on.
Oh, Ganesh. Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't understanding you.
Not to be confused with Ganesh.
No, Ganesh. Ganesh is I think internal too, because she is the form of the elephant.
Debbie comes up with a good term, interdimensional. I like that. Yeah.
That's what I called the. That's what I called the Norse gods. They were interdimensional.
Right. But that also comes a little confusing to some because is not an interdimensional being transferable between dimensions? Or am I being thick this morning?
No, you're not. It's like, okay, the gods are what we see what they are. In other words, all the gods have been named by humans.
Not necessarily. If you ask, their names were given to whoever encountered them by them.
So here's a paradoxical question.
Yep, yeah, I was waiting for this one.
Who names the gods and goddesses?
What I just said.
Where did they come up with their names?
The beings themselves gave a name.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yes.
Well,
Because there are writings from like the Hopi Indians and like you said, Mesopotamia, where they've got names and they said in their writings that the person or this being told them, I'm so and so, and I come from Sirius.
Right. Clint, I think you accidentally hit caps lock, but he he makes an interesting point that's kind of a paradox. He says they are of this earth, but also not of this earth. He goes on to say, and also of this time and not of this time. That's kind of what we're talking about with an interdimensional being. They just pop around wherever the hell they want. Deb says gods represent elements of the human psyche or items of things which humans need so we can live, eat, etc.
Not to break topic. Got a new topic for you though.
Well, IM it or PM it to me or something.
Okay.
You know, I kind of joked with going down the rabbit hole, but if you think about it, this is actually really good food for thought for people who are trying to decide where they belong in the spiritual collective, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, are you... Oh, Sandy just joined. Are you, you know, if you're trying to figure out which spiritual collective you belong to, you know, Christians follow God and Jesus. Well, God is an extraterrestrial. God is not of this plane. Jesus now is an extraterrestrial. But yet Jesus isn't an extraterrestrial because by history he was born of this plane and ascended to the extraterrestrials.
Actually, he was demi-terrestrial.
He was what?
Demi-terrestrial.
Demi-terrestrial. There you go. But have not even the pagan gods and goddesses who we connect to this plane, have they not all turned demi-terrestrial? Have they all not turned extraterrestrial as they pass through the annals of time?
You mean annals?
A slight play on words of the annals of time.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you did that intentionally. Okay, fair enough.
You got him this morning.
You know, and Deb makes a good point. You know, she said, you know, gods cover everything. She says for her, Great Spirit. For others, it's God, etc., etc. And where for me, Great Spirit is androgynous. Great Spirit is neither male nor female, but we call on the masculine or feminine aspects of Great Spirit. Deb sent me a PM that says, annals of time, not assholes. But is not the annal of time poof, and it's gone. It's crapped out the window. We can't go back and get it. It's done been flushed. Sorry, being literal.
It's about, we went down the hole, it was running around. Sorry.
Well, you know, it's like Men in Black, right? They flushed it. It's like, oop, you're gonna get flushed. Okay. Away go trouble down the drain. But anyway, we digress.
Always.
Sometimes digression can be fun. But
it's just, like you said, each of us to perceive what the gods are. Are they ET? Are, you know, or are they real? Or are they from another plane? Are they from another solar system? You know, where did they come from? Can anybody really tell you if they're terrestrial or not?
well, I can tell you by today's, at the time of this video in 2021, no. They're, you know, everybody says, well, that we have facts of this and we have facts of that, but
Hearsay.
there is no fact of gods and goddesses, no matter which god and or goddess and or sub-deity you may be talking about.
Right. So, it's, like you said, proceed by the humans to see what it is. Just like me, I want facts. I want to see it before I believe it.
Well, Cindy, I have to argue with you on that one.
I figured you would.
You're pagan.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
have you
I-
let me wait. No. Take a breath. Because you actually make a good point. Today's human beings, how, you know, they've always been taught, if you can't see it,
Don't believe it.
then it's not real.
Right.
But yet, it's okay to believe in God and believe in Jesus, though you can't see them. But if the preacher tells you it's okay, then you can see the preacher, so you can believe the preacher.
That's like with me, okay? When I first met you, and I was worried and stuff, I saw it, I believed it. I still believe it. That's my path. But it's like some of the things have gone down the line in my life since I'm 6 years old. What is it? I came in this 03, I was like 40 something. And some of the things I've seen in my life from the gods have proven to me that they are there. It's just they choose not to be sometimes physically on our plane. Is that a good way of putting it?
Yep, and you know, Deb says it real well. At some point, we have to take things on faith. She says,
I was just fixing to say the same thing. Now we're getting
Right.
back into the faith talk. You have to have faith in something for it to be real. If you don't have faith, then you're lost.
It's just like magic. If you don't believe in it, it don't work.
right, and also, if, you know, and it's like, you know, she says, if I wait for proof, I'll be dead before it happens. And yeah. But, you know, so many people, and I don't want to pick on one particular sect or whatever, but so many people are taught if you can't see it, it's not real.
I was taught that way by my
Well,
mom and dad.
what happened to oxygen, to wind,
Gravity.
to the chemicals that make up oxygen? Because anybody that's had any kind of education knows we do not breathe pure oxygen. But the gods and goddesses are as real to me as those of you that I'm talking to here on this broadcast in both chat and Discord. I kinda like the idea that gods and goddesses are terrestrial, extraterrestrial. Even though, take Morgaine for example, Morgaine and Morgana, some people think they're the same person, they are not. They were both real people that once roamed the earth.
Morgana was his Arthur's Hapsis.
Say what?
I said Morgana was Arthur's Hapsis.
Yeah, depending on what history you're looking at, true.
Yeah, I know. I just want to throw that out.
But
I'm keeping that.
then we come into the very interesting question of, and here comes the oxymoron or the paradox, depending on how you look at it. Do terrestrial beings who started out being born or hatched or whatever on the earth plane, do they eventually, if they make God and Goddess status, do they not become extraterrestrial by definition? Can't hear you.
They become demi-terrestrial. Hercules.
Yeah, I was just fixing to mention Hercules because he was born on Mount Olympus, but he lived out most.
Can't hear you.
He was Hercules. He was born of a woman.
Yeah, Hercules was born on Mount Olympus and was brought to Earth to basically, not be a god anymore.
Well, hold on there, folks. Mount Olympus was on the earth plane according to their own history.
Yes, but the residents were considered gods.
They were considered gods.
Okay, which actually leads into my topic. And you're going to go, it's another rabbit hole you're not going to want to go down, but I've got to bring it up.
Well, okay, and Deb makes a good point. Demi is Latin for self. And when we talk about history, we have to remember that history as it was completely different from the history that we think we understand. my question was still not answered because I don't think anybody has an answer for it.
What was your
Zeus,
question?
Zeus was of Mount Olympus. Mount Olympus, by their own history, was of planet Earth.
No, that's where they resided. That doesn't necessarily mean that's where they came from.
If you look at the history of Olympus, it was on the highest mountain peak
Yes.
of the world at that time.
Wait a minute. That's not what I said. What I said was, yes, they lived there, but that's not where they came from.
According
That's
to
not
the
where
according to the history, that's where they came from.
Okay. There you go.
I just said my but anyway,
All right. I'm just.
but we know by science that every peak of this planet has been investigated by satellites, by aerial reconnaissance. There is no anymore Mount Olympus on the Earth plane. So by that fact, and I'm going to call it a fact because of the aerial photographs of our planet, and I'm not even going to entertain the flat Earth theory, so don't nobody hit me with that bullshit. There is no today Mount Olympus on this planet. But they became extraterrestrial.
I kind of got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Since there is no Mount Olympus on Earth, is there not a mountain on Mars called Olympus Mons?
That's what humans named it, but
Don, wait a minute. Don,
oh,
I'm going to correct you. Mount Olympus is a physical Earth structure in Greece.
not
Google it.
not anymore.
That's not what Google says.
There are no buildings on
No.
Mount Olympus.
I didn't say buildings. I said Earth structure.
Okay,
Earth.
but
It is a mountain called Mount Olympus in Greece.
you're missing my point.
There's nothing on the top of that mountain.
Okay, so the whole thing comes down to those gods and goddesses of that time became extraterrestrial, remembering the definition of extraterrestrial, a being not of this planet.
Okay. Now, on that point, we're trying to say that at that time, those particular gods, were they extraterrestrial or terrestrial? At that time, humans could not attain or get to the peak of that mountain, and that mountain was covered in clouds, correct?
Okay,
So, they couldn't see what was on top of that mountain, but these gods said that's where we live. Could it not be ascertained just for hee that they landed their ship on the top of that mountain?
they could have
And then-
done, but who knows?
And exactly, and then left. And so, no, there are no structures on the mountain any longer because it is now extraterrestrial.
All right, and you know, Debbie makes a good point to what you're saying. Well, I have to agree. She says, I think your eyes are getting crossed. Well, yeah, it nowadays that damn sure doesn't surprise me.
All right, that's what happens when we talk about things like this.
Down the rabbit hole.
Fun. But she also says And I kind of like this description. They have lived there, but, like you were saying, Paul, they may not have originated there.
Correct.
And she goes on to say there are 8 Mount Olympuses on this planet. And there is one on Mars that was named by humans. To answer Sab's question.
Well, they were all named by humans.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Lester's awake. Clear your
Let me
voice
put it
and
to you
say it.
this way.
Oh,
Y'all are
it's
talking
almost
about
clear.
y'all are talking about extraterrestrial. Y'all are forgetting that the gods that you speak of on Mount Olympus could have been interdimensional beings. And of course, we're not going to see any structures.
Ooh.
Bam! Blew your freaking mind.
No, not at all. That's kind of what we've been talking about off and on throughout the broadcast.
The
You know-
portal could be on top of Mount Olympus.
Say again?
The portal could be on top of Mount Olympus.
Well,
You're not going to see the portal.
it very well could. One of, like Debbie said, there's 8 Mount Olympuses on this planet. Who the hell knows where it's at? But the whole simple, and my poor old simple brain tells me that all of the gods and goddesses that are presumed by human beings today in 2021 have, or either were or have become extraterrestrial because they are no longer of this earth plane by definition. Do I believe there used to be life on Mars? Yes, I do. And I'm also a big follower of the rovers on Mars. I'm on all of their YouTubes, and when they post new pictures, man, I'm all over it.
They have new pictures out in the galaxy that we have other planets that's illuminable.
Well, of course, multiple planets are in the Goldilocks zone.
You're not alone.
Well, no, we're not alone. In my opinion, we're not alone. Let's see here. Hell, I got to put my glasses on.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Hey!
Ah, she bless you.
Oh, God.
Blessed Ostara to you.
Probably not the last time.
Of course, with what comes with spring, all of the blessings of the mother that love to make humans sneeze. So, we need to start saying Blessed Ostara to you. No, I'm just kidding. Deb says, or
Uncle Honey.
is the thing... What? Oh. Is the thing that's near Mount Olympus, which she says I cannot recall. There are geographical areas where various gases from the surface and make people see things
The Oracle of Delphi.
right. Yep, she just she posted at the very same time you said that. The Delphi. They have found multiple areas from the ancients that are burping gases where people used to go into to meditate and, well, sometimes die, but some of the priests would go in there just long enough to get the hallucinations, but who's to say hallucinations are not mixed with premonition? and we are past our hour.
Yeah.
Paul,
Yes.
what was your idea for a topic?
You ready for this?
Hit it.
What constitutes a god?
Okay.
Talk about a rabbit hole.
I got a topic for you.
Okay.
Seeing how it's the spring equinox,
Blessed Ostara.
why don't we do some research on Ostara and to see how much of a bullshit that is?
How do you mean?
Where does it come from and who does what? Who, what, where,
The Celts started it.
Did they?
No, it's older than that.
Well,
Well, do some research. You'll find out it's really not that old.
nope, it's not.
Well, the term Ostara,
Is only about 200 years.
yeah, well, but that's like the word shaman. The word shaman has only been around since the 1930s, when the guys went over to Siberia and met the Siberian shamans. They brought the word shaman back with them. That's where the word Native American shaman come from. Before that, they were just known as medicine men,
Or witch doctor.
or a witch doctor.
They were called the village wise man
That
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
or the elder.
right, right.
Or the crazy person with cats.
Right. Well, look, guys, I don't want to take any more of your day. Bless your hearts. Most of you have sit around for, I think the timer's reading an hour and 13 or an hour and 15. So, yeah, okay. Let's research the history of Ostara and do that next week, and then the week after we will do what constitutes a god or a goddess. Thank you guys for the topics. Those of you that are watching, you now have the next couple of weeks' topics. I'll put all those together shortly. Well, hey, guys, Ostara is the changed word from Germanic origins and adapted by the Romans. The Romans were excellent at assimilation.
Theft, basically.
So, we will bring that knowledge with us to next week. Where did Ostara come from? Folks.
It came from Sirius.
All
Anyway.
right, guys. Hey, listen, y'all have a great week. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on Open Pagan Church. Have a great week.